The Delhi police are on alert after the United States-based Khalistani supporter Gurpatwant Singh Pannu has released a video message threatening to shake the very foundation of Parliament on the 13th of December, the anniversary of the 2001 terrorist attacks on Parliament. A senior police officer said security has already been stepped up in and around Parliament. In the video, which also has a photo of the 2001 Parliament attack, convict Afzal Guru, the chief of the proscribed organisation Sikhs for Justice, claimed that the Narendra Modi government tried to kill him and threatened to respond on the 13th of December. Pannu claimed that his response would shake the very foundation of the Indian Parliament. Joining us at this point is Ambassador Bhashpati Mukherjee, former diplomat. We also have Major General Sudhakarji, a geopolitical expert, joining us live. Professor Madhav Nalapath, editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, is also with us live. Surinder Singh Lali, international affairs expert, also joins the broadcast. Let me begin with you first, Ambassador Mukherjee. How seriously should this threat by Pannu be taken?
It should be taken seriously because, after all, I was in South Block when the actual attack on Indian Parliament took place. It was a very scary experience because you could hear explosions, etc. And we were all locked into our offices till late in the day. Any threat on an institution which represents Indian democracy like the Parliament has to be taken seriously. At the same time, we must not allow the threats of one, I would say, semi-deranged individual to disturb the working of an entire nation of 1.2 billion people. So we need to be vigilant. We need to make sure that we are not, that every possible risk to security is taken into account. But at the same time, we need to hard talk to the Americans to ask them how such a man is being nurtured and sheltered and protected on Indian soil, that we are being questioned about some so-called plots to assassinate him, when he is planning to bring down an Air India airliner, he is planning to destroy the Indian Parliament. So do not the laws of the land of the United States apply to this man? What are they doing about him? Why don't they take him into custody? Why don't they extradite him to India? These are the hard questions that we need to ask the Americans. And since the Americans ask us so many questions publicly, we should also ask them these questions publicly, even if it is embarrassing to them and it is against our ethos, because we don't like to embarrass our friends publicly. But since they don't have any scruples in asking us very direct questions publicly, so we should also ask them the same. Uday, we should ask them straight away, what are they doing, considering that such serious threats are emanating from American soil against the hallowed institutions of democracy in India? What are they doing about it? That's the question they need to answer. More than Pannun. Pannun can be taken care of. It's not a problem. Uday.
Yes, let me quickly also get in Professor Nalapath for his take. Professor Madhav Nalapath, are you there with us? Okay, I think we've lost Professor Nalapath's connection. But Major General Sudhakarji, if I can quickly bring you in here, how seriously should this threat be taken? And also, immediately after this, after this video message, what should be the security apparatus in the national capital, given the fact that Parliament is in session right now?
Uday, good evening. Thank you for getting me to your show, and compliments to our co-panelists and the viewers. Any threat for that matter, whether 20th or 21st century, against an institution and nation must be taken seriously. Never ever should any kind of a military or non-military threat be taken as hoax ab initio. That is against the tenet of the military science teaching, one. Number two, behind your question, you see, you have asked two questions. Behind them, there lies a component of the global perspective. There is a regional perspective. There is a local or the national perspective. Let me tackle at the geopolitical level, at the global level. Why is it happening what it is happening? Well, Pannu is one of those dots, microscopic dots in the huge radar or horizon. India should not get unsettled by it, nor should it take it for granted. We should In fact, we should be thankful to Pannu and United States of America because on one hand, we have strategic partnership going on. The other hand, we have inconsistent response of a superpower, rules-based international order. This dichotomy or double standard should be taken cognizance of. Next time when there is a strategic partnership, more from US side, we should make it conditional that this partnership will be taken ahead provided you are consistent in your behavior, provided you accept the universal law, provided you identify the one meaning of terrorism. Let me tell you, Uday, my heart is saying that America is again going to be caught unaware and they will have another 9/11. China has already made them hollow with those drugs which are pumped into the market. And Xi Jinping has declined very politely to Joe Biden in the latest meeting they have had in San Francisco in the APEC meeting. They are not going to make any changes with regard to the trade affair. So therefore, the third point is regarding the video clip that you are talking of Pannu. You see, the time has come, whether it is threats like this or it is the short selling by Hindenburg, the Adani company. You see, I think the India, if it is looking at 30 trillion or 40 trillion dollar by 2047, every company more than $1 billion worth of assets or the corpus should be prepared or should carry out or create a structure to cater for rebuttals of this nature, to cater for fighting it out. We should not take it lying in the 76th year of independence. We should be prepared we should be able to anticipate every pitfall that is going to come our way in the larger objective. Mindful of our objective, national interest objective that we are talking of, we should not ignore such things, nor should we be unduly get perturbed and distracted by such kind of things happening. Therefore, last but not the least today is that India must carry on in all its efforts towards to become a global and a developed nation as perceived and stated objectively by the Honorable Prime Minister, that is by 2047. Also, we should be mentally prepared to, by hard form, give it back to USA. Tell them, ask them as to why we are not going in for a investigation. We should ask them as to why they have not taken a step against Pannu despite our repeated requests. Why haven't they extradited despite the extradition treaty that we have with USA and UK? Why haven't they arrested him? These are the questions India should ask and get an answer rather than responding to a trigger which has taken place or occurred subsequently. Back to you, Uday.
Yes, let me quickly, in fact, go across to Surinder Singh Lally as well. Surinder Singh Lally, what do you make of this threat by Pannu? And also, the big question, of course, is what is the US waiting for? These are open threats now. He's speaking absolutely like a terrorist.
Thank you. There's a proud Indian Sikh. My response to this rabble-rouser / little small fry is that I was in the United States for the entire month. I'd gone for my college homecoming. And, if you see, I've saved my boarding pass. If you see on the right-hand side top, it says Star Alliance. Why am I saying this point? Because Star Alliance has 26 other airlines in it. So if Pannu on American soil is, giving such threats, obviously, not only should Air India should have taken cognizance of it, maybe they have, and so should the other 26 airlines, and so should the United States, because Air India flies, to many destinations and many Americans fly. Now, why is America procrastinating on it? Because according to me, he is a little tool that the United States of America has deployed to create a nuisance value. Why is America creating the nuisance value? Because maybe the United States has been too habitual of having allies, and for them, since we are not towing the line, we didn't tow the line in the recent war. We're buying our LS-400s, we're buying our, gasoline from Russia. So I think somewhere America creates these non-state actors, these tools, only for the nuisance value it can create so that it can sort of keep India not in check, but maybe in check, because I think America really wants maybe, a powerful India as far as countering China is concerned, but yet they want us to be occupied in the inside with these nuisance values. They have been doing that with India, Pakistan for so many years. I mean, what rocket science is it required to know to the United States, to the civil liberties and to the human values and, to everything that they speak about, what China, the Pakistan, the bonza democracy, what? But for the longest time, they kept nourishing Pakistan to keep us in check. So I think as much as the co-panelist before me said, we need to take the threat seriously, but not really, because I think he's being used as a tool only to sort of keep us in check. And I'll make one more point, that I think this is a lot larger game. If you look at if I could demystify, if you look at the recent killings in Pakistan, I mean, 20 gentlemen have been knocked off, and I call them gentlemen, pun intended, and in Canada, and, the threats and the vandalism in the United States and the Hindenburg. I think this is a proxy war going on between the United States and China, where China uses Pakistan as a proxy state to occupy us on both the borders. So I don't know. I don't know who's doing the killing, but maybe it is China using ISI so that, they can disturb the success that we got at G20, G21, and, how we've been coming up really strong as a leader of the global South. And the United States is using these kind of journeys again to keep us in check so that we don't really go into the non-allied group. These are some of my takes.
Yes, do we have Professor Nalapat back with us? Okay, I think we still don't have his connection. Ambassador Mukherjee, let me bring you in here on the US. Why still this reticence? Why still no crackdown? Why still no action taken? I mean, the man is a terrorist.
It actually raises very disturbing questions about the internal dynamics of the Biden administration. That there are those in the Biden administration who are not happy with the manner in which the strategic partnership with the United States has moved ahead. And perhaps these are people who would like to checkmate the partnership and therefore publicly question India about so-called planned assassinations. I don't call it assassinations actually, because it's really giving Pannun high status. Extrajudicial killings on foreign soil of terrorists. And on the other hand, doing nothing when they know perfectly well that this individual is plotting against the integrity of the Indian state, the sovereignty of India, is planning an attack on our national airline, now owned by Tatas, and is planning an attack on the bastion of democracy, the Indian Parliament. So if the United States does not take action, then I would ask myself the question that India took a lot of risks by getting into the strategic partnership, by becoming a member of Quad. United States has leaned on India to be a counterpoise to China in this region, in the Indo-Pacific, etc. That was a risky venture, considering that when the showdown with China will come, we will be left all alone, as always, to fight our own battles. So under those circumstances, if we don't get the minimum cooperation from the United States on such issues, then Parliament should pass a resolution at its next sitting tomorrow, calling upon the United States to take action against this terrorist who is being harbored on American soil, ask the United States what they intend to do, request the United States to extradite him to India under the India-US extradition treaty, and call for action. That is what the Indian Parliament should pass tomorrow, an all-party resolution on this matter. That is what we indeed should do as a nation. We are united on all matters which threaten our sovereignty and our integrity, and that is what I would strongly recommend that we do tomorrow morning when Parliament meets. Uday.
All right, let me in fact quickly or go back across to Major Sudhakarji on what is explaining this inaction by the US in your opinion. Should India press again? And why this delayed response? Why this inaction by the United States of America? Have they forgotten what they told Pakistan? When you have snakes in your own backyard, They will bite you one day.
Yeah, Uday, very well said. But before I respond to your question, let me compliment our previous co-panelist, Ambassador Ma'am. I think that is going to put everything in right perspective. Parliament resolution is the response to reflect or convey the united spirit of India of 1.42 billion population to address this particular threat. And be that as it may, let me quickly give my understanding about the whole thing. You see, today we need to look at the whole thing from the perspective of elections being around the corner. There is an election in USA, there is an election in India. Also, be mindful of the fact there is an election in Taiwan and also election in Bangladesh. Why am I referring to these small countries is they also have, there is a cog in the wheel. Everything is, you see, because of paucity of time, I cannot explain, but let me say, Biden administration today is, I would say, is in a way held hostage to take independent and autonomous decision, which is for the larger good of national interest of USA. Biden administration itself, the State Department, ma'am will bear me out, the Ambassador ma'am, she has been there in America for many other countries. They're functioning such, there is a deep state within the state. Earlier, I used to think there is only one deep state, the defense industry. Today, when I do research on the subject, I find there is a second layer, there is a third layer. No defense industry. Out of 10 top defense industry in the world, first 6 belong to USA. The economy of USA, as it is in a declining mode. They cannot sustain the basic mundane requirement if the defense industries do not actually run in a successful, healthy manner. Who's actually heading them, organizing? The leadership actually is headed by a deep state. So they're the ones who are calling the roost. Further, the State Department doesn't see eye to eye with the Minister of Defense. So these are the intricacies I would like to go in and comment, because this will rip apart the inner dynamics of the functioning of a superpower. We have no such intentions of going into all these issues. All that I would say is that, yes, election is around the corner. Yes, Biden, Democrats are actually, trying to put their acts together. Republicans are coming in a big way. The TRP is actually going in favor of the Republicans. But everything is not politics. Here is an issue of the democracy in the 21st century, the crying need of the world order, geopolitics where it is falling apart, the superpower is losing or declining its power, mindful of the fact no superpower would like to lose its supremacy of superpower, and China has been identified as the number one challenge in the world order today. On one hand, we have taken a pledge and commitment to shift our pivot to Indo-Pacific, created Quad, created I2U2, created AUKUS. The other hand, we are playing these kind of dramas. These are child's play. So therefore, what I would say is that there is much more beyond what is visible to our naked eye in American, the massive. And therefore, we should not get unsettled. Like we have our internal challenges, they also have their internal challenges to actually sustain and overcome. And therefore, let's grant them their due, but not Pannu. Pannu is a terrorist. We need to ask USA as to why they have not taken any action as far as the rules-based international order is concerned. Why haven't they arrested a person when India has actually made a request number of times? Why haven't they actually extradited Pannu to India? These are the questions which they have to answer first, not India answering as to why the support or help in carrying out a successful and effective investigation not be carried out against Nikhil Gupta. This will come later. But first and foremost thing is, Pannu must come back to India. India must press on this particular objective and mission. Back to you then.
Yes, let me quickly, in fact, also bring in at this point Professor Madhav Nalapat into the conversation. I believe he's back with us. Professor Nalapat, if you're able to hear me now,
yes.
The question we were trying to ask you earlier was on this threat by Pannun. How seriously should it be taken by India? We believe the Delhi police is not taking it lying down.
Look, there's no question that this threat is serious. And don't forget that an Indian Prime Minister paid with her life because the threat was not taken seriously enough by some of the people close to her. Now, the reality of the situation is that I think what needs to be done is simply to use Pannu against Pannu. the Indian American community is a very vibrant community. They have very great feelings for India and great love for their own country, the United States. I think the Indian American community needs to sponsor advertisements in key newspapers throughout the United States to build public opinion. For example, in the newspapers in different states, so that senators will know that their constituents are reading those newspapers, the senators and representatives. Even if they are small papers, they are important because even a small state has 2 senators and a small state has representatives. And just quote Pannu's threats in that particular advertisement. What Pannu is saying about India, what he wants done to India, what he has been saying over the years, and then ask a simple question: does this kind of man deserve to roam free in the United States when he is so brazenly and openly threatening the lives of so many people in a fellow democracy that's a good friend of the United States? I think we should quote Pannun to Pannun, and throughout the United States, small newspapers and some big newspapers in every state of the United States, these ads should come out. And I'm sure the Indian American community is there in every state in the United States. And they need to ensure that Pannun is quoted as his own words, his own language, his own threats, his own, basically intent to kill, murder, terrorize. And I think then the question should be asked, why, does this kind of an individual, should he be allowed to roam free in the United States and so severely pose a threat and threaten a democracy that's a good friend of the United States? I think that would be the best way to go directly over the heads of Joe Biden, Blinken, Sullivan, and all of them. And frankly, they're all obsessed only with Europe. India is not a part of Europe. It's a part of Asia. They claim to be interested in Asia, but let's face it, their hearts are in Europe and their minds are mostly in Europe. And therefore, I think go over their heads directly to the people of the United States. And if you quote Pannun to Pannun, Pannun to these people, and they'll hear what he's saying. And you have, for example, on social media, online media, you have small little, videos showing what he's saying. I can assure you, public opinion will build up, and the Biden administration will be ashamed that instead of detaining this terrorist and sending him to India where he should face trial, they are actually protecting him. And they are basically, chastising India for being upset at an individual who is openly threatening a terror attacks on India multiple times. That is what I believe that we should be doing. And there's a vibrant Indian American community, and I'm sure this community has the capability and the will to do this.
All right, let me quickly leave the last word then to Surinder Lali, your closing comment.
I have to fully agree with all the 3 esteemed panelists. And yes, I think, not that I hold a brief for the United States, but I think these are differences also within the United States being played out, differences between the State Department versus the defense. And yes, I would fully agree with Professor Nalapat that we can influence, the Indians can influence the congressman, because then, we can make the right noises, because America is all about creating lobbies and creating influence. So I fully agree that if the right noises are made through the right people, through the right channels, I think, not that Joe Biden or people don't understand any better. It's just that the right amount of pressure needs to be put on them. Thank you very much. And once again, as a proud Indian, I changed my ticket to Air India. And when I came back from the United States, because that's the least I could do to a country where generations, including, Nanak and such people have been on this soil. So God bless the United States of India also and India also.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.